Okay, we're online. Knock on wood, I'm up to no good. Whoa. On the internet, on the screen, I'm more than just a teen. Whoa. On the internet. Hey, what's up? This is another episode of SUPcast. This is episode 46. We've been doing this for 46 episodes. It blows my mind. This shit started just about a year ago, and I started this podcast in my van, talking to myself. Then I started talking to other human beings, and now here we are. We've been doing this for the whole pandemic. We've been Zooming. We've been Zooming with friends, having conversations, talking about stuff, talking about life, and we are continuing to do that today. Today is Friday, August 7th, and we have Lisa from the group Terror Jr., who is a Michigan artist that I've known for, I did the math, 12 years, since 2008. And a lot has happened since 2008, and we're going to go over some of that. And we're probably going to go over a lot of it. But right now, real quick, while I got you here, I want to give a shout out to the Wendigo Tea Company. As always, they sponsored us for the entire year. The Wendigo Tea Company are my homies, are my friends. Mr. Sky White of the band Foxy Shazam. This is his company. I'm drinking the tea right now. I mixed it with a little bit of caffeine. I'm drinking the Throat Coat. It's not Throat Coat, though. It's Siren. It's Throat Health. So if you are living in a shitty apartment in Los Angeles County and you're breathing mold for 3 months, drink some of this tea. It'll make you feel better. And my other advice to you is get the fuck out of that apartment, because mold can be bad for your health. I came to find mold is terrible. Hey, how you doing? So let's just get into the interview. Lisa's waiting in the waiting room thing, and I could talk forever, but I'm going to try to talk less today, because I have problems and I'm working on it. You know, it's about constant improvement. You notice your flaws, you fix them, and you continue. And sometimes, I talk too much, but I'm a fidgety guy. I talk a lot. I use my hands. So 15% off the tea in the description. And if you're watching on Twitch, 15% off the tea in the about section. Get yourself some of this tea. Help out your boys. And let's get freaking into it, man. Let's get into it. We have Lisa here, and we're going to have fun. Let's go. The time to unmute is now. Yo.
Hey.
Let's go full screen.
Woo.
How do I go full screen in this? Yeah, there's still some amateurish things going on.
Nah, technology, man. Sucks.
Especially for a boomer like myself.
You ain't a boomer.
I gotta get
Shut up.
I'm actually Gen X.
I
gotta get rid of this.
I'm a millennial.
Yes, I'm on. Well, it's weird because some of the shit says I'm on the cusp of being a millennial, because like I was born in 81, but they say the millennial generation started in 82. But depending on what article you read,
yeah,
the definition is different for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes I feel like a boomer though. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's like being on the cusp of a zodiac sign, and you just don't know who you are. You know, where do I belong?
Right. Like if I actually resided in that zodiac window, I would be that. This is my personality.
Exactly.
Because it's weird. I'm an Aquarius, but they changed that shit. I remember reading something. They're like, oh, Aquariuses aren't Aquariuses anymore unless you fall in this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm no longer an Aquarius. I was an Aquarius my whole life. But what does it all mean?
What does anything mean?
I don't even know anymore.
Nothing.
Have you been quarantined? Have you been stuck?
Yeah, I've been like taking it pretty seriously. Have not seen many people been, falling into a deeper and deeper depression as every day goes by, and everything's great. The world is fine. And having a coin shortage when you live in LA and you don't have a fucking laundromat, or you don't have like a laundry machine in your apartment, is insane. You can't get coins anywhere right now.
Are you serious?
Have you run into this issue? You literally
Allie
can't get quarters.
Hold on one sec. Allie, do you have a problem getting quarters? I guess a national, not just in California, a national change shortage.
And no one is like really saying anything about it, but I'm like, how are like families of like 5 that don't have washer and dryers getting their fucking clothes clean? And then you need to clean your shit to prevent COVID. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, you can't just use the same mask for 3 months.
No. Well, I've been going on month 6 and doing fine. Just kidding.
Yeah, so far so good. Yeah, we don't talk to anybody. We don't hang out with anybody. If we do, it's definitely socially distanced, and we're definitely wearing masks. I think my girlfriend's, her name's Allie. She's in this room over here.
Hey, Allie.
Yeah. Lisa says hey. Her parents came over somewhat recently, and they just like walked right in the house, and we're just like snooping around, and I'm just like, dude, get the fuck out of here. Like we don't know where you've been. They still go to work. Yeah. They've been at work. They've been at work this whole time, so they're going to an office. Like her dad is shaking hands, making deals.
Hey.
He's a deal maker. He's an Italian American deal maker.
Oh yeah, my dad is an Italian American deal maker, and also loves to shake hands and get real close to people.
Yeah, breathe on you and look over your shoulder and see what you're up to. And
exactly.
He's a good man. He's a hardworking man, but he certainly is just like business as usual. Got to make them deals, and he makes the deals. Yeah. But he also touches a lot of people. I don't want to fucking touch people. We were at the gas station the other day, and a homeless gentleman came up to me and he tried to like say what's up, like he tried to touch me, and I'm just like, I don't touch me, and because I don't want to touch anybody. I'm deathly afraid. When this whole fucking thing happened, I was on tour, and there was like 2 tour dates left, and one of them got canceled, so we ended up playing like most of the shows. But when the whole fucking state locked down, I was like, all right, we're putting all our shit in the van and we're leaving. We're leaving LA County. Let's get the fuck out of here. There's gonna be no water. There's gonna be like unrest in the streets. People are gonna kill each other for basic necessities. I thought it was like gonna be the end of the world, but we just stayed in our moldy apartment.
How do you feel like not being able to go on the road and stuff?
I love it.
Being stuck inside, it's great, right? Just not being able to interact with anyone. No. Well,
this is the thing, and I think my situation is unique. I was really burnt out from my lifestyle from like living in a van for 10 years. And when I first got to LA, I was living out of my van. I essentially was homeless, and I've been going so hard for so long. This is the first time I feel like I've actually gotten a break from the insanity, and then I got heavily involved into the whole internet thing, and I realized, I can do all of the dumb bullshit that I do in a way less painful manner. Like I can do it from my fucking bedroom, and I've gotten into recording my own shit and doing all the streaming stuff and like getting really into tech and just becoming super immersed. It's a double-edged sword though, because you have people like in a chat. You see like a little chat thing going on, and like you see little emotes, and there's little things that happen on the screen instead of an actual like hand claps.
Yeah.
Instead of seeing the elation in the eyes of the 10 people that normally watch me perform, kind of thing. Like,
yeah.
So I
hear you.
I don't know. It's I love it and I hate it. Like if touring and shows came back tomorrow, I would have to adjust to that. I would have to be like, it would fuck me up, because I have a workflow now. I have a day where I do a podcast. I have a day where I do a live stream. I have a day where I do a thing with my girlfriend where we go on the internet and we make fun of shit. And I'm just like constantly on the internet now, making YouTube content, recording music. So this is my life now. I don't go anywhere except for Trader Joe's and sometimes Target. And
yes.
And yeah.
Well, that's good because I've been in a negative mindset lately. It's nice to hear that you actually, you were getting a little burnt out on tour and you were like, okay, maybe I was going too hard. Maybe I needed to like try something new. And I'm the same way. Like I was forced into learning to like send out my own vocals because I was just really lazy and worked with producers and I was like, they can always track my vocals for me. And I would do like shitty like GarageBand vocals or Audacity if I was on my own. And now I can do like I can send out Pro Tools, like high quality vocals stems to people. And the pandemic forced me to learn that. And luckily I have a boyfriend who's an engineer who was able to kind of help me figure that out. But yeah, it's so there are some positives to it. I need to remember that when I'm in my darkest pandemic days.
Oh, believe me, I'm depressed all the fucking time. But I'm in therapy and I've been really trying to. My therapist is right by my bathroom here. It says gratitude and love are the highest vibrations. And then it says,
yes.
And then it said, start and end your day with gratitude. So I'm definitely a glass half empty type of person. I'm always thinking about, oh, this person has this, and I want what this person has, and why does this person have this? And I've been like that my whole fucking life, and I'm really trying to put a concerted effort towards looking at what I have and being like, this is fucking awesome. Like, yeah. And I worked really hard for this. Like, Dude, I busted my ass just the fact to be living in this 1-bedroom, too expensive apartment in Long Beach, California, with having a partner that actually doesn't treat me like shit, and that I'm not a complete insane maniac to be around. Like I've worked really hard to get here, and yeah. So I don't know. I don't know.
Dude, therapy is amazing. I love it. It's the best. Everyone should do even just like a month of it.
My therapist is like an 80-year-old Eastern European woman with like, she's missing fingers on one of her hands, but I never had
Hell yeah.
I never.
Like Tony Iommi, or like the tips of her fingers are like
not the
cut
tips,
off.
whole fingers.
Wow.
I've never had the guts to ask her what happened, but she's told me so much about so much stuff. She's very wise. And she's kind of hippy dippy. She's into a lot of holistic, like energy type sound healing with like tuning forks.
Yeah.
And a bunch of shit that I have no idea if it actually works. Mm-hmm. But I tell you what, she did the tuning fork therapy for me once. And she's all the way in Ohio. I started seeing her after my father passed. And she did this thing where you just lay there and she just hits these tuning forks, and the vibration of the tuning fork, she'll like rest the tuning fork on you, and your body will kind of, she says it recalibrates your cell structure. And I'm like a skeptic, but I'm also pretty open-minded. Like I want to believe in aliens and Bigfoot and all that shit. So
yeah.
When I left that therapy session where all she did is hit tuning forks, ding, and then she like sets it on you or sets it on your head or whatever, I got in my car and I started fucking crying, but like an ugly cry, like a deep, sobbing, uncontrollable, ugly cry for like 5 minutes straight. And
those vibrations released something.
I don't know what she did to me, but I was sobbing like it was insane. So I don't know what it means. I'm not going to say there was any profound effect it had on me other than like she went ding and I walked out. I was like, ah.
It's weird because it was like, it's a good therapy session if you cry. Usually if you cry, it means you had like a pretty great session, because it means you realize some like deeper truth about yourself that you really never even thought about.
After my dad passed, when I first started to go see her, every session was just like, she had me do this thing where you write with your non-dominant hand, and I was writing letters to myself from the child version of myself, because when you write with your non-dominant hand, it's well, first of all, it looks like a little,
it's like squiggly.
Yeah, it looks like a little kid fucking wrote it, because it's terrible. You know, yeah. I'm a right-handed person and I'm writing with my left hand. And then she had me read these letters from my child version of myself to my adult version of myself. And then I wrote letters to my recently deceased father from the child version of myself. And then I had to read that out loud. And when I read it out loud, I was just like, and I'm just like, the whole fucking paper was like soaked in tears. And it was cathartic. But man, how intense. And it sneaks up on you too, because you don't think, you're like, okay, I'm going to read these words on this paper. But when you start reading the words, you're like, okay, here it comes. And then it's just, it was over.
Yeah. It's always like they either have you like write something to your, somebody you have a lot of feelings towards, or speak to a chair that's supposed to be that person. And you don't realize the things you wanted to say to them until you actually are forced to think about that. Cause you're just like, well, I can't, either it's someone you're not talking to, or, in the case of your dad, he passed away. It's like, you're like, oh, I didn't even think about what I would say to them. And then you're like, fuck.
Well, we had one
hard to describe.
Oh yeah. We had one of those fractured relationships where I didn't talk to him all the way up until he died for about 2 years. So,
wow.
So it was really heavy because there was abuse, it was not pretty growing up with that man. He had a lot of issues that he never addressed. And my brother and sister, I have an older sister and a younger brother. Like, we're all terribly fucked up because of him. But yeah, therapy saved my life because I was holding on to all this animosity. And I feel like just doing those exercises, whether it was like writing from the child version of me, or we did this other exercise where I like sat in a chair and like pretended to be my dad at one point, and and like we did these like role reversal type things, and I'm just like, it really put me in the position where I'm like, oh dude, my dad was a really sad, lonely guy and angry. He was angry, and on top of it, most of his views and everything was all like these really systemic beliefs that were just instilled in him by his dad, who was super abusive, who was a man's man, don't cry, be a man type guy. And
toxic masculinity run amok.
Dude, to the nth degree. And he, instead of being like, wow, all this shit sucks that my dad put me through, I'm going to treat my kids different, he just followed suit and did the same exact thing, which is what a lot of men do, I guess.
Yeah, well, proud of you for breaking the pattern of that and, being creative and taking it and, making it something that kind of just fuels you in a different way.
It's the whole fueling thing is kind of weird because so much of what fueled me was trying to prove him wrong. And oh
yeah.
And which is, I like that we're right into the fucking dad therapy shit. I like this.
I love that. I mean, I want to talk through this kind of stuff. This is the stuff that matters, This is the stuff that matters. But I joined the football team when I was a sophomore in high school, and I never really had a chance to be like, okay, this is Neil. This is why you did this. And the whole reason why I played sports is to prove to my dad that I was tough. And then being around all those little boys parading around as young men, there's a whole level of grossness to that. It's probably changed a little bit because that was in the 90s because I'm like 100 years old. But, man, you want to talk about toxic masculinity. You get a bunch of dudes who like don't know what being a man is, trying to be a man based on their perception of what society's expectation of what a man is. It's fucking gross. It's not. And I was raised pretty much by my mom because I was just the weird kid that my dad didn't talk to because I didn't play sports. In fact, that was the only time he showed any interest in what I did is when I played sports. And then he made sure to tell me that our team wasn't good or I wasn't aggressive enough or I have a low pain tolerance, so like he a low pain tolerance.
Yeah.
Jesus. What the hell?
I remember he went to the dentist one time and
you better love pain, son.
He was like humble bragging about how he didn't need Novocaine or he didn't need nitrous. He didn't need any. And then he just throws at me. He's like, you have a pretty low pain tolerance. He's like, you couldn't do what I just did. It's like, who are you trying to who are you trying to impress? You're like shit talking your chubby 10-year-old kid that like likes drawing pictures. Like, what?
Yeah.
Why? What's the point? What, like, are you that insecure? Like this little fat shit with his pictures and his comic books. I'm gonna make sure he knows how much of a wuss he is.
I know. There's like a weird, like, dark humor in it. Like looking back from being in it is not funny, but when you can look back on it and just go like, what was wrong with him? Like the main person he wanted to like show his toughness to was like his kid. Like, look at me. Like, you better want to be like me. I love pain, son.
He wasn't trying to flex like that with anyone his age. They all thought he was an asshole. I was talking to my brother. We're really getting into it. I was talking to my brother. He would play indoor soccer. You know how there's like indoor soccer where it's pretty much like a hockey rink. Have you ever gone to?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Have you gone to Total Sports in Michigan?
Yeah, I've done that indoor soccer.
Total Sports. But my brother and my dad would have shouting matches, and my dad would be in the bleachers of the indoor soccer sports arena and just screaming at my brother. And my brother would scream back because my brother was like just as angry and volatile as my dad was, especially when he was a little kid. He's got a handle on it now. But I was like playing Ninja Turtles on the little arcade game, and I could hear in the distance, I could hear my father's voice, like full volume, screaming at my brother. And I was just like, this is how it is. This is my life, because that's how it was at home, And so my dad just like, he even in public, he like was an insane, angry, loud person that no one wanted to be friends with. He had no friends. It's sad. I used to just be like, well, fuck him. I'm glad. I thought when he died, I'd be like, I'm glad you're dead, dude. But I was just like, But all that regret, like, what could I have done different? Like, could we have repaired this? All those questions. Did he actually care about me? He just didn't know how to show it. Was he just too lost in his this toxic masculinity? Was he actually a sociopath? These are questions that I'll never find the answer to.
Yeah, and I think, some men of that generation were taught to, you provide shelter and food, and if you can do that, that's pretty much you're a decent dad. And like providing like emotional support for your kids wasn't seen as wasn't very high up there of like being a dad. You're supposed to show them how to be like tough, So the values were just so different.
And I'm glad that shit's dying off.
Yeah.
You really can see a sea change, especially with like the Zoomer generation. Their views on politics and their views on sexual identity and their views on so much is just so progressive in comparison to that, that actual baby boomer mentality of, don't cry, men don't show their emotions, women do this, men do this. Like everything is just changing. And my therapist, my weird Eastern European tuning fork therapist, says that all of what's happening right now, including the virus and all of the unrest in the streets and everything, is just a sign of we're evolving as humans. And these are like the growing pains times. Like all the unrest and all of the sadness and all of the terrible shit. And she even thinks that the virus is a symptom of us evolving in a weird way. I'm just paraphrasing her, but it makes you think. It's like, okay, everything's really fucking terrible right now, but maybe it's because we're growing out of this bullshit and we're waking up. Maybe or
yeah. No, I think I felt that we were on a bad path for like many years. I feel like the past 5 years, especially, every New Year's, people have been like, this is going to be the year. It's finally going to get better. Like I remember people saying that since like 2015, and then 2020 came and it was just like, no, it can get way worse, but something had to change because you can't just, there's too much animosity right now in the world that we couldn't just keep moving forward like that. Like there had to be a breaking point. You know, there's a reason why we're also having like a huge moment with like racial injustice right now, and everything is like coming to a head in a good way. I'm like, you might as well clear it all. Like, let's get everything out in the open. You know, no more of this like passive aggressive shit that's just under the surface. Like, let's all be honest. Like, if you're a fucking white supremacist, they're coming out and saying they're white supremacists now. And people are standing up against that. And I think that I just felt like it was a simmering under the surface, and now it's like out there. Yeah. Hopefully we can heal it.
Yeah, George Floyd happened, and it was just an explosion. Mm-hmm. And and I've been learning a lot too, because you know, I've always considered myself to be somewhat knowledgeable as far as the systemic racism and you know, as far as, because my ex that I dated from 2012 until 2016, she was heavily involved in like the Occupy movement, and she, like, I had to unlearn a lot of ingrained thinking just based on her presenting me facts and explaining things to me, because she's really knowledgeable as far as how fucking terrible things have been since you know, since America was America, and you don't really think about those kind of things when you're in your bubble. My bubble was just I write silly music and I get in a van and I drive around and I play that music. Mm-hmm. But the one takeaway from that relationship and being involved with her is it definitely, I was able to see things differently, and I've never gone back from that way of thinking. But what's crazy is now there's a lot of white people that are presented with so much of these facts that have no idea that it's been this way. And I remember like, so it was 2012, it was like 8 years ago when I got that bubble burst.
Right.
But it's happening right now on a big scale for a lot of people. They're like, holy shit. Like, because I'm white, if I get pulled over by the cops, I'm going to get treated differently. And I think like you were saying, the fact that that's out in the open, and so much of this is out in the open now, it's going to cause people to grow, because they're going to be able to look at their own experience and be like, my experience isn't like that of someone from a marginalized community, or someone that looks different than me, or someone that's a different sex than me, or someone that's a different sexual preference than me. And that's a good thing, because if we start thinking about how other people are being treated, ultimately that's just going to make people more empathetic as humans, and that's going to make them think twice about doing shitty shit. And I'm all for that. Yeah, I'm for this conversation. But once again, it's painful. These are growing pains.
Yeah, I mean, we have to reckon with our own choices as individuals, and like, you know, look back and be like, man, I'm so glad I don't think that way anymore. I'm so glad that I've like learned and evolved. And like, I think caring about what another person's experience is like, who you know, looks different from you and therefore is treated differently, is like truly, I think, what's going to make this world better. And I know it's very, like we were saying earlier, hippy dippy, you know. I live on the West Coast now, and I feel like, you know, when I talk to my parents back home, they're like, oh, time to talk to the kooky West Coast liberal daughter. All right, she's going to talk to us about Bernie again. Okay. Well, when Bernie was still a viable candidate, but yeah.
I tried telling my mom that Joe Biden's a creepy, touchy-feely weirdo, and she said, "Don't say that about my Joe." My mother is, you know, she's an educator, lifelong retired educator, and she's Democratic to the core. When Obama won, she was crying, and you know.
Yeah.
But before I got that bubble burst, in 2008, I voted for Obama, because when I heard him speak, I was like, change, you know. He was eloquent and his words were powerful, and then, you know, he gets in office and it's more of the same shit, you know, Guantanamo Bay, drone strikes, you know, consistent war with, you know, countries that are residing on top of natural resources that we want to steal from them. It's just all the same shit. He he just had a way better way of making the public think everything was just hunky-dory.
Yeah.
You know? And then flash forward 8 years later, Trump gets elected, and then every shithead with really regressive, fucking racist, weird views is just like, I have a voice now. And I've had people on my podcast before who live in Los Angeles, and they said that as soon as Trump got elected, there was like a noticeable sea change as far as white people thinking that they could say whatever the fuck they want without any repercussions, especially in Orange County, where this dude that I play in a band with, he plays drums for Downtown Brown every once in a while, used to live in Huntington Beach. If you go to Huntington Beach now, like a lot of those videos where it's like some dude on a fucking beach cruiser saying the N-word gets like knocked the fuck out, that happened in Huntington Beach, you know?
Yeah.
And even in Long Beach, like, people don't want to fucking wear masks. People are angry.
I know. I've been like, it seems like it would be cool to live in LA through the pandemic, because you're like, oh, there's beaches, there's like ocean. It's like you go to the beach and you're more anxious and nervous than anywhere else, because every fucking person, there's like a million people there. They all don't have masks. They're all like, they almost like smirk at you or laugh at you if you have a mask on, like they want to bully you. It's really weird. And it's really not, I feel like, well, there's no good place to be right now, and everybody is going through a very hard time right now, so that's just a general situation. But it's kind of funny how, you know, here in California and LA specifically, which is seen, I think, by the country as this like super like liberal, you know, place.
It's a mixed bag.
There's a lot of pockets that are not.
It's a mixed bag. It depends on where you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we ride our bikes down the bike path down, because the bike path pretty much goes right behind our apartment, and we go down. I remember when they reopened the beaches, we're just like, yeah, let's go for a bike ride. And there's like fucking 300 people down there, and they're all like working out, and none of them wearing masks, and they're just skateboarding. I went to a Black Lives Matter march down Ocean in downtown Long Beach, and it was really cool because it was like, I'm going to say it was like fucking 2,000 kids on skateboards. They like bombed Ocean, and all the cars stopped. So it was just like a bunch of people on bikes and skateboards. And I was like, this is the shit. And so I'm like riding my bike. I'm like the oldest person there. and I'm just like,
doubt that.
It was great. I'm just like looking around. But then when we got to where the parade or where the march ended, there's like a band playing, and I'm looking around, and it's like, dude, I'm like maybe 10 out of these 2,000 people that are wearing masks. I'm like, get me the fuck out of here. It was cool to be a part of it, and to like bomb down a fucking 5-lane road on my bike and like go in between cars. I felt like that was the most alive I felt since the quarantine happened.
Yeah.
But also I'm just like, holy shit, I got to get the fuck out of here, like now.
Yeah. I feel like especially teenagers now probably feel, you know, the most invincible kind of. And it would fucking suck to be a teenager going through the pandemic right now. I feel for like all the kids that, you know, are dealing with this when they were just starting to get hopeful about the world. Like, yeah, I'm going to get out of my parents' house and I'm about to enter the world. And then they get hit with this. I'm just like, I thought, you know, obviously the crash happened in 2008 and that was a whole mess in and of itself, but like it was nothing compared to this fucking pandemic. And having Trump as the leader of the country.
They're always saying in all these commercials where these big corporations are trying to get your money during the pandemic, they're always saying in these hard times, these unprecedented times, and these difficult times, but these truly are unprecedented times. Like, you talk to old timers, this shit never happened. I mean, no. Unless you're talking to someone that lived through the Spanish flu in, what was it, 1919?
Yeah.
But I don't know that many people that are that old that I talk to on a regular basis, so I don't have that perspective.
Yeah.
But you know, my mom's freaking the fuck out. She's being really smart though. She's compromised. She has lung issues. She's 72 years old, and she just hangs out with the dog, and she gets her groceries delivered. She doesn't fucking go anywhere.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Yeah.
Yeah, because she could be like, oh, you know, I don't know. At least that's what she tells me. I'm pretty sure she's deathly afraid of this shit, and she's being very careful. But she could just be lying to me because I'm 3,000 miles away.
Yeah, I mean, she probably knows what you want to hear a little bit, but I think if she's saying that, she's being careful, she probably is. And especially if she has a lung issue, I'm sure she knows she's got to be extra careful. And
yeah, she has COPD, like a mild case of COPD, but it's from a life of smoking cigarettes since she was 15. And she actually got brain surgery in 2017. She had a major brain surgery because of an aneurysm. They fixed it. Wow. But even her brain surgeon sat my whole family down, my brother and my sister and I, and was like, your mom is so addicted to nicotine, she's probably never going to quit even after this major brain surgery. She had a craniotomy where they had to actually open up her skull, and which is like, and yeah, that's the thing. My mom is still smoking cigarettes.
Wow. Can you get her on Juul or no? She's just not into.
She won't listen to me.
The e-cigs.
She won't listen to me.
It's hard, man. It's hard. The nicotine addiction is real.
Yeah. I'm constantly addicted to many things. Nicotine has been one of them, but luckily now it's not.
Yeah.
I just replaced it with caffeine.
Same.
Yeah, get it.
That coffee.
Get it. So let's go back in time. It was 2008, and we played this gig at a place called the MySpace Cafe. Do you remember that place?
Yeah, MySpace Cafe.
So this is back when MySpace was a thing, and there was a gentleman in the audience, and we connected either on like the very first incarnation of Facebook or MySpace, and I remember putting out a status just being like, hey, are there any bands in Detroit that want to open for my band? And I think it was Nick.
Okay, yeah, probably Nick.
It was Nick. He's like, I saw you at the MySpace Cafe. We would love to open for you guys we were doing a van fundraiser show at the Magic Stick. And I think that was when you and I first met, because I remember you were on the show, and I don't think we would have met any other time previously.
I think it was that. I mean, I think obviously I knew about Downtown Brown and, you guys being such a big band in the Detroit scene, the music scene.
The small pond.
Hey, I'll hype you up.
Small pond.
Listen, everybody knows who knows. Everybody
pond.
who was around there knows. So I knew about you, and it was I thought it was awesome that you let us jump on with you, and the friendship just blossomed. Yeah.
That was a long time ago. But
it was a minute ago.
What's crazy is I was going through some old photos and seeing like actual photos from that show. I was in a bad place at that time in my life. That was one of those, how life has lulls where it like gets kind of really gnarly before it starts getting better. I was like recently sober. I was in a terrible relationship, and my group locally had lost like a lot of our draw in our popularity because we kept switching members, and we got kicked off Warped Tour, and then I actually like blacked out on stage because I was like a big time alcoholic. So when we played that show with you, that was like at the beginning stages of my working relationship with Ron, the bass player, which then eventually we signed to a small record label, and then we started touring a lot, and we kind of started going up. But that was the very bottom.
Damn.
when you and I met. That was.
I never would have known that, because you just were so. I mean, I think no matter what is going on in your life, you always have a great stage presence and like know how to entertain.
It's a lie.
So people, well, I didn't know you blacked out.
No, no, not that night. I blacked out probably a year previous. I was at that show. I was recently sober, so I was going through that whole. How do I be myself without alcohol phase? And that was tough. But yeah, so yeah, that's when you and I met, and then What? So, where were you at that time?
2008.
Yeah.
My band's Orange Marsupials was really reaching new heights. No, I mean, I had been in Orange Marsupials for like 2 years at that point, I think. And they were guys I met in high school, and we were just like having fun, making music. They're still my best friends to this day. I was like graduating from high school then, I think.
Oh,
wait.
wow.
So I was like, you know, making my way into the world, figuring out what the fuck I wanted to do, you know, getting ready to go to Oakland for a few years, go to college there.
Is that OCC?
Or
is it Oakland University?
Oakland University, OU,
Okay.
Oakland Universities, yeah.
Which is in Oakland County, southeastern Michigan.
Yeah, it's like Rochester Hills.
Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't that by where Freedom Hill is?
Freedom Hill's in Sterling Heights.
Okay.
So this was like, I guess Auburn Hills technically, like by the Palace, I think. God, if I'm fucking this up, someone tell me. I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
What's out?
It's in Michigan.
I've been in LA way too long.
Yeah. We'll get to that.
Yeah. But yeah, I was just thinking, you know, just bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, thinking the world was a happy and positive place, not hit with the realities of life yet.
Do you ever wish that you could go back to when you were that young and not know how terrible everything is?
Yes, but I look back at like some of the like cringy, you know, just, you know, you develop the good thing about where I am now versus then is I feel like I've just developed better like taste in things. And like I've, you know, learned a lot more about the world. Yeah. You think you know it all when you're in college, though. I just remember being like taking some political science classes and being like, oh, hell yeah, like I know everything about the world now. And, you know, I'm super cultured. And then you realize, nah, you just need some life experience to really become that way.
I really thought adulthood would be easy because I did well in high school. I got good grades. I was on the National Honor Society. I played sports. I smoked a bunch of weed. I went to college. I got good grades on my placement tests. I had a good GPA. I did everything right. I'm just like, oh, piece of cake. I'm gonna put out my first album. We're gonna be fucking famous. I remember like being super sure of myself that I had it figured out at like 19.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's like the prime age where you're just like, hell yeah, I know, like
hell yeah,
I can
brother.
smoke Black and Milds now.
Hell yeah,
I got
brother.
it all figured out.
So what happened? In 2010, we did a track together.
Yes, we did. It was on Gravelton's Beach.
When we signed that small record label, I remember thinking that like, dude, this is it. Like I remember being so like that confidence I had when I was 19. I almost had the same amount of naive confidence going into a small, tiny, like independent record label deal. I'm just like, yo, we spent so much money on that record making it. We spent like between $8 and $10 grand making that record. We were at that studio that you came to. It was like $50-$60 an hour at the time.
Yeah, I mean, and it was like, I love that video. It's a beautiful video. I think it definitely holds up, and like it was fun to be a part of that. Just you know, I remember going, and you guys had like a makeup artist who was doing everything, and Zoe. I was like, ooh, a makeup artist. I get to like, this is like a professional fucking set. All right.
That's all Colin. Colin.
Oh yeah, Colin. Yeah.
Yeah, because Colin has all these giant ideas, and he finds a way to make them all happen with just help from his friends and a lot of like hands-on craftsmanship. You know, so like all of what he did There wasn't a budget for that video. He didn't charge us for that video. He was just like, I have an idea, and I like your guys' band, so let's do it like this. And because that was his deal. It's like, if I'm going to direct this video, I have complete creative control. And I was a big fan of his, so I'm just like, yeah, fuck yeah. Like, do whatever the fuck you want because it's going to look sick. So essentially, for a few videos there, Downtown Brown was kind of like his guinea pig to just get weird with. Yeah, and his girlfriend at the time, she was doing my hair.
Yeah, I remember.
And that's when I first met my buddy JP, and we were like freestyle rapping, and it was
JP
just,
from the HP.
Yeah, it was a lot. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. We were having a fucking blast.
That was a great moment in history.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of, like, as far as the timeline is concerned. So we put out that record, and we just started touring. And at what time, because I feel like you deciding to come out to California, when did that happen? Do you remember what year that was?
Yeah, so it was like 2013 that I actually made the move, but I feel like in 2012 I had come out here like once maybe and checked it out. And so the whole reason I decided to like come out to LA was I was playing a show with Orange Marsupials. We were opening up for Wax. And like Chad Bush put that show together. He like organized it. I don't know if you know him.
You want to know something funny? Real quick, I just want to interject.
Yeah.
He said, okay, I got Wax coming to the Emerald Theater. It was at the Emerald Theater, right?
Yeah.
He said, who should I get to open?
Did you make this happen?
I said, you should get the Orange Marsupials to open.
Wait, I remember this because, oh my God, this is coming back to me now.
And so he asked me. And then so the show was, I didn't go to that show because the only time I saw Wax in Macomb County was at the Hayloft. But
okay. Dude, you honestly are a huge part of why I'm in LA right now. I just want to say that's because
that's crazy.
If I had not played that show, I wouldn't have met Brian Washington, who was Wax's manager, who was kind of gave me his card. It was like such an LA type of moment, even though it was happening at the Emerald Theater.
It was happening in Mount Clemens,
yeah,
Michigan.
Mount Clemens.
Oh, geez, Mount Clemens.
Classiest city in Michigan. Hell yeah. But he handed me his card, and I was just like, I had experience like meeting a different manager online, and I just ended up, I knew something wasn't quite right about that guy. So I had this guy hand me his card who I was like, I really am impressed by Wax. He brought a lot of people. He's like a cool artist. And you're telling me that like, you think that like there's something to my band or to our songs. This is really cool. So I remember I was like, okay, I had just graduated from college at that point, or I was really close to graduating. I was like, what am I going to do? Because I got a degree, but I don't really want to do anything with this degree. I know I want to be in music. So I tried to like rally up the Orange Marsupials guys and be like, come on guys, we're going to get a house. We're going to all live together in LA. Let's fucking do it. And, it's hard to get 4 people combined to want to move someplace together across the country when everyone has their own lives and things going on.
It's so hard. Even the guy in my band that I convinced to come out to LA with me in 2016, he quit the band within the first year of being out here. So
yeah, it's not, and it's not for everybody. You have to really want to do it if you're going to take that leap and like, not only like go across the country, but pay a lot more to live, and be sort of thrown into this completely different lifestyle. So they didn't want to do it. So I was like, I'm going to fucking do this. Like, what else do I have to do? And that kind of shows you too, what a big deal it is when somebody kind of believes in you. Cause honestly, you have to believe in yourself first of all, of course, but like if somebody else gives you that kind of acknowledgement or validation of like, I think you're talented, I think you should do this, it can literally like change your whole life and the course of what you do. you know. So from anything from like hearing another local band to being like, hey, I want you to open for us, you know, like you did, or somebody being a manager being like, hey, I think you have talent. Like you know, if you're open to this, come to LA, see if you like it. So yeah, that was what led me to come out here.
Did he offer to manage you like on the spot, or was it just kind of like an open-ended thing?
No, he was feeling it out. Like what happened was he would, you know, do these like kind of FaceTimes with me and the band, and he would talk to us, give us advice. We would send him songs. We were like talking a lot from, you know, from Michigan to LA. And I think that I just knew that there was only so far you can kind of take that. And I think, I'm trying to remember exactly how it happened, but I think after, you know, talking with us, sending more songs, he was like, I want to manage you, you know? And I was like, amazing. And another sign of, I think, somebody really believing in you and being a good, trustworthy person is that he never took any money from me. He never like pinched pennies and was like, okay, I get 20%. So you made $200 on this show. So give me my money. Like he was never one of those people, and always just wanted to help me with, you know, he let me keep any money I had until I was actually signing a big publishing deal, signing a big record deal. And I was really happy when that happened too, because I was like, the years of work you put in finally kind of paid off.
Dude, that's a trip. I was just thinking about, I remember I was thinking about that, like when Carmel and I visited you that one time, and like you
had the van.
I still have the van.
Nice.
That was my home for a minute, but that's crazy. Yeah, because I remember it like yesterday. Because Chad Bush, he was like, "Who should I got Wax coming." He was all nervous about the show, so he wanted to get a band. He wanted to get a band that was from that area. And I'm like, fucking get the Orange Marsupials
to help draw some like local people in, and
and it made sense musically as well. So yeah, when I saw you started working with Brian Washington, I was in because I knew he was managing Wax, and I was like, huh. You know, I never really got the lowdown on how that happened, but that's fucking amazing. That's so cool. So, it's one of those life-changing things. I remember when we were out here. And I was still living in Michigan and just touring a fuckload. So I would be in LA maybe like 3 times a year, sometimes 4 times a year, because I was grinding really hard. Back in 2015, we did like over 120 shows that year, and we came out here and we had like gigs with the Dead Kennedys, and we actually got to play these bigger venues where they like gave us hot towels, and they gave us a fucking steak dinner, and we we got a buyout, and I'm floating in the ocean, and our agent and our manager at the time and this other guy that we did a lot of multimedia stuff with and my drummer, they all were like, yo, why don't we move to LA? And I just remember being like, no, I got to take care of my mom, because, you know, I'm a mama's boy. My mom is pretty badass, so she keeps kicking. So eventually I remember on the way home from that tour, I'm just like, yeah, we got to do this. I got to tell my girlfriend. When I get back that she has to come with me. And when I got back from tour, the guys took my van and they went back up to Detroit. She was living in Toledo at the time. And as soon as they left in the van, maybe an hour went by before she was like, I'm cheating on you with this guy.
Oh, God,
and I'm like, I'm going to LA. And that was how that all went down. And then, like, I would say like 5 or 6 months later is when I saw you with Carmel, because we did this little like acoustic tour. And
I remember, yeah,
and those shows actually paid for the gas for me to get out here. It actually paid for itself. So, and then she got on a plane and left, so she went back to Michigan. But yeah, that's how I ended up here.
Yeah, that's cool. And I mean, not cool that she cheated. That's fucked up.
It's a long story.
It's cool that, you know, you were already kind of on the cusp, and it was like, hey, easy. Okay, I'm just going to LA without you. Fuck you.
The weird part is she and I kind of stayed together and had this like open thing. It did not work.
Oh, yeah.
It did not work out well.
Yeah, that's
A long
hard to-
distance polyamory does not work out well.
No, that's hard.
I don't know if like close proximity polyamory works out well, but hey.
I personally don't know of any instances where it's worked out, but I know that there must be. I think there are people who can do that and they're cool with it.
I think there are people that could do all types of things that some people would choose not to do, and it's their right as Americans. So
hell yeah.
So Brian Washington wants to work with you. The band's not down. You decide to go anyway. What happened after that?
I transferred from working at Guitar Center in Roseville to working in Guitar Center. Which location was it? I transferred to like a West Side location, and then eventually ended up at Guitar Center Sherman Oaks, which is in LA. And that was...
I was there recently.
Yeah?
No, 2018 I was there.
Oh, okay.
I bought a bunch of drum stuff for our drummer, and then we went on tour, and after the tour we just returned it all.
That's the magic of Guitar Center.
That's a little corporate life hack for you musicians out there. When shows come back, if you need to get some stuff, just don't break it, and you can rent it for free from Guitar Center. Or
you can get the pro coverage and you can return it even longer. I think you get like 6 months or something to return it. Yeah.
I returned an amp that I used to play a festival in Michigan, and don't tell Guitar Center, but it actually had physical damage on the outside of it. But they still give me my money back. But
man, I don't feel bad for Guitar Center is like the fucking Best Buy of like the music world, and though they pushed like places like Huber and Breeze and these little shops like out of business, and or really hurt them. So
yeah,
I don't really feel bad for Guitar Center.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends that have been over the years employees, and yeah, none of them have nice things to say. It's corporate. It's corporation. Fuck
you know
'em.
how many like 50-something-year-old dudes I had to stand there and let talk at me for like an hour, like acting like they're gonna buy, this like Strat, and then like another employee would be like, "Oh yeah, that guy comes in like 3 times a week. He never buys anything." And I was like, "God damn it!" And then you learn pretty fast who to pay attention to.
He just pops in and plays Stairway 3 times a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Hell yeah. So you started working in Sherman Oaks at Guitar Center.
Yeah, and then I worked a lot of odd jobs and did a lot of different things. I was working as a legal assistant for a while when I was like, I got to make more money. I'm going to be a legal assistant, which was so fucking stupid because I agreed to do this like 40-hour-a-week job when I moved out here to be a musician. And I remember that was probably one of my like low points of being out here, because I would like dress up to go to this job of like, essentially I was seeing the life that I could have if I didn't want to be in music, because I had this political science degree. Like, oh, I could go into, all these kids were about to enter law school and stuff. And I was like, I really, really don't want to do this. So it was a good thing for me because it made me like, fuck this. And I got tired of like just sneaking in music every night and doing it after working this like really horrible job. So I worked a bunch of different jobs. I started singing at this place called Sayers Club, which was known for like a lot of like celebrities would show up. So Prince had jumped on stage at a random show. This was in Hollywood. Unfortunately, I was not
Prince. There's his vinyl right
singing there when Prince jumped on, but I did get to perform on stage with Slash. So
Slursh.
Slash.
That's dope.
So I did like that kind of thing. And, I was just like honestly, I hit people up on Craigslist and I was like, who wants to make music? And, doing writing sessions and all sorts of stuff like that. And all those things led to cool experiences. I got to go like sing in Vegas with Sayers Club, and you know, it was fun, but it was like mostly singing covers. And I was like the Ellie Goulding girl just because I knew her songs really well. I kind of had a similar voice. And they would be like, okay, you're going to do all the Ellie Goulding songs.
Yeah, and that probably got old pretty quick, eh?
Yeah, because I had always made original music with my band. I was out there to like write original songs and to try to be an artist. So although it was really nice to have these like randomly high paying like gigs doing cover songs and like meeting celebrities and cool, it was very Hollywood. It was also like, I don't see like, a future of doing this. So, but I'm very thankful to them for like sort of believing in me and giving me a start. But yeah, I was basically just out here hustling, working day jobs, my manager getting me sessions, whenever he could. And then he got me in a session with this guy named David Singer-Vine, who previously had written like a G6.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And he was also a writer.
What year was that song really big?
2010, I want to say.
Yeah, when I was working at the catering company in Macomb County, there were a lot of the kids were like dancing and singing that song. I remember that.
Yeah, that song was like a cultural moment. Like truly, I mean, it's still, I think you still could hear that come on in any club and people would be like, hell yeah. And then, yeah, and he had done other songs. It was kind of like, a prolific songwriter. And I was like, man, this guy's pretty cool. And within 3 weeks of meeting him and another guy named Felix Snow, who was producing at the time, we did like 5 or 6 songs together. And it just like was very natural. It just, something about it, the three of us just worked. And within about 2 months of meeting him, I want to say, we were signing a record deal with Atlantic.
Wow, so it happened quick.
It happened really fast.
So it was, so yeah, you were just grinding, doing stuff you didn't necessarily want to do. You weren't being super creative. You were working a job you didn't like. And then,
like at that time I was working in an animal hospital randomly and like doing dog training.
That's probably more enjoyable than a paralegal.
It was the best. It was definitely the best day job I've had. And and now I know how to train dogs. So.
Aw.
Yeah, it's cool. But it wasn't obviously what I wanted to be doing.
Of course, yeah. I feel like, and I was thinking about this earlier today, I feel like if I'm doing anything to make money that doesn't have my artistic, like I'm not like expressing myself, like, because I've spent a long time trying to monetize my dumb art shit and me. I've been like, okay, if I'm gonna make money, I want to be doing something that is an extension of my soul, but unfortunately that's not the way the world works. So I feel like it doesn't, even if it's the best fucking day job in the world that pays you well, your coworkers are nice, I'm still gonna hate that fucking day job. I don't care what it is. I was managing a rehearsal studio, and I could do all my social media. I could do all my video editing. I could work on my podcast while I was on the clock. And essentially, I just babysat these 6 rehearsal rooms, and which is like the perfect job. But I still fucking hated it.
Yeah.
Because I was stuck there, and it took up all my time. I had to stay up really late, and I was just being bombarded with all of this really fucking terrible heavy metal and punk rock that was like coming through the walls and ruining my hearing. But it took care of me for like a whole year. Still hated it. It was it's just me. Maybe it's not just me, but
no, dude, that's how I think that artists, whether it's music or just painters, any form of art, it's really hard to like go into an environment like that and then work for 8 hours and then be like, okay, I'm going to turn it on. Now I'm creative.
I'm inspired.
And then like, you either choose for it to be a hobby or you choose for it to be, you choose to go, hey, this is a huge risk. I'm probably going to work 10 times as much as I did at those day jobs. I'm going to be constantly, finding ways to figure out how to make money, like, because that's the other thing. Like, the stress of not knowing where your next paycheck is coming from, you have to be willing to like be down for that. And not a lot of people are down for that. But for me, that outweighs the stress of being forced to fucking go to a job for X amount of hours every day. And like, not, you know, it's really hard to, and I commend all the people who have created really great art while they're working day jobs, because it's really hard.
Yeah, you gotta be on some Adderall or some shit to make that happen.
Yeah.
Or have a day job that's conducive to you like doing your own shit on the clock, which I was very lucky the entire year of 2019. I got this podcast off the ground because I was able to edit video and work on my content while I was on the clock. But my hearing, my hearing's fucked. I have bad tinnitus from touring for 20 years and playing shows for 20 years, mixed with an entire year of 8 to 12 hour days of being in that rehearsal studio, just getting all that sub bass coming through coming through these thin walls. Even when I wore my earplugs, I would walk out of that studio after a shift and it would just be like, and
you could like feel the pain in your ears. Yeah.
My hearing's effed, but you know, I didn't think I'd make it to 30. So the fact that I'm approaching 40 and I'm still alive, that I'll take.
Hell yeah.
I'll take a little bit of hearing damage if it means I can still breathe and eat.
Yes.
And pet my cat.
Definitely.
So the Atlantic deal happens, and what year was this?
2016 or 17. I think 2016.
What did that feel like?
It felt good. It felt terrifying. I mean, listen, the other thing about this is, you know, I didn't really know the guys in my group super well yet. We had just kind of met each other. So we just knew that something worked like musically within, you know, with the three of us. And that was it. Like it's a stressful thing to go into when it's suddenly happening, but it also, I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life. Like, I remember working at the hospital and being like every day, like waiting for the deal to get signed, because I knew as soon as the deal got signed, I was going to get my advance and I was going to fucking quit. So, and I like made it super well known. And what's cool about that job was they didn't make me feel like shitty about leaving. They were like, hell yeah, you're going to go pursue your dreams. Like, so everybody around me was like, did it come through yet?
Oh,
Are you
that's
signing
cool.
it yet? It was really sweet. Yeah.
I feel like you'd get, I feel like in most jobs, you would get haters. I remember my catering job. The only reason I worked there is because they would let me make my own schedule. So I could go on tour, come back, and then I would do the catering thing. And most people were like, oh, how was tour? They were cool about it, but there's some people like, oh, you just get to leave whenever you want. I'm stuck here every day, like grumble type shit. So that.
Well, yeah. And they, you know, they might have secretly wanted to be doing what you're doing, which is probably why they had so much anger towards you.
Yeah, most people were cool about it. They were like really cool about it because they knew that was like the stipulation of me even working at that place was, hey, I already have a job. It's just one where I beat myself up for 5 to 6 weeks at a time and come home with no money. But but that's awesome. So when that day came where you signed, and was Brian Washington representing you when you signed the deal?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so it was great because he got, you know, his management fee from that, and I felt like, oh my God, by this point, by the way, Brian and I had been working with each other for like at least 4 years, maybe 5 or something. So I was like, hell yeah, he's going to get paid finally from something I'm doing. And, you know, I was proud that he was, you know, it was just a great time. And I remember my parents were coming to visit, and it just happened to coincide with when I had gotten the check. So they went with me to the bank to open a new bank account with my check, just because they were like in town and they're like, oh, we have nothing else to do. We'll come to the bank with you. And so it was really cool because they got to see me like cash the advance and be like, all right, guys, like, I guess I really get to be a full-time musician now. And that was always from the beginning. I've always said that if I could just make music full time, I'll be happy. And I don't need to be rich, and I don't need to be what I just need to be able to live off of it. And so, yeah, I mean, that's now I'm just like, I just need to maintain that.
Well, and there has to be a sense of anxiety that goes along with that, because everyone I've interviewed on this podcast has signed a major label deal. It seems like it's the start of different problems.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I don't have a ton of complaints because they threw a lot of money at us and kind of gave us free reign, because I think we had shown that basically we had shown that we could create something that would generate interest, and like that we had this fan base, and even if they didn't understand it, they were like, okay, we're just going to let you do what you want to do. But I think, I'm no longer on Atlantic Records, and I'm so happy. It was a good parting of ways. Good. And now, I get to own the music that I create, which is, I'm realizing, like, the most valuable thing. So
absolutely.
It wasn't a horrible experience. It was just, I think I learned a lot about like why I want to have more control over that side of things, instead of just being like, okay, I'm a artist, I just want to worry about the songs here, have my masters, have whatever you want, and just, give me some money to continue making music. Like, you don't have to do it that way. And I think a lot of artists are not now. So,
well, especially in the streaming age, I feel like there's a lot more independent, content being created, and people are in control of all that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's important to own your shit if you can, especially if it's, if you can use a label to kind of help generate interest for you, that's great. But I think if you have great music, you can find your audience yourself now, and you don't really need them.
Did the group already have a name, like from the get-go, like before the deal?
So basically one of our songs was in a Kylie Jenner lip gloss commercial.
And it wasn't Tara Jr. yet.
Well,
or was it? I'm curious.
Listen, I'm going to be mysterious about this aspect of it,
okay.
and just say that
that's cool.
And just say that we got a song in a Kylie Jenner lip gloss commercial, and no, it didn't. Atlantic was not involved in that. So it was before we had gotten our label.
So that probably generated a lot of interest.
That and speculation as to who I was, because we were super mysterious at that time. And by the way, I want to go back to that time, and I'm not actually the singer of Tara Jr. So if you're watching this, it's not me. You've been fooled again, and I hope you figure out who the real singer is.
I'm really confused now. Well, people thought that Kylie Jenner sang that song in her commercial, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was you.
It was possibly.
It was potentially you.
Me. I'm not actually here right now. I'm a hologram.
Okay, it was potentially you. It's speculated that it was you actually singing, but nobody knows now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I died.
Yeah.
There was a rumor for a while that the Lisa Vitale died.
This is a simulation.
Maybe I did. Exactly. Yes.
We are living in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Well, so it has to feel good. You generated the interest, making music with someone that you vibe with, and it benefited you. And now you're in that continuing phase. You're just continuing.
Yeah. I mean, luckily we have some really incredible fans and people who support us, and like I think that's what's kept us going we're just past 4 years of being a group now. And we're on the precipice of some new exciting things, but I'm also going to keep that mysterious.
I like the word precipice.
Yeah.
What I've come to really find out, and especially even with my own shit, because for all intents and purposes, my fan base or my audience is small, but they're engaged. And and I forget who there's some sort of famous person that said something about 1,000 engaged fans means the world, because you can have like a buttload of fans that aren't fully engaged and fully supporting what is going on, and you won't necessarily be able to like make a living off of that. But it seems like the people that are into Terra Jr. they're like very engaged.
Yeah, it's been this really cool thing. I think like the people who stuck around past that initial sort of hype and mystery, you know, it's because they like the music, and like it's always supposed to be the music above like anything else. So
in a perfect world, yeah.
I know, right? But actually, I'm not super cynical about that. I actually think like right now in the world as it stands, songs rise above, you know, if you have an incredible song, it doesn't really matter who you are. And like, you really can find a way if you're smart about, how you present yourself online and what you do, you can find the right people will find you. I'll put it that way. And you can put your song out and you don't need a fucking label or any of these things. And the song will rise through the noise. It's just, there's a lot of noise, you know?
There's more noise than there's ever been, especially recording equipment is so easy to acquire and use. Everyone is making songs in their bedroom. And I feel like, so many of especially the younger artists that just, they seem like they come out of nowhere. It's because what they're making is quality enough to, like you said, rise above that noise. Like I remember there's a girl from Michigan named Chloe Moriando. Do you know who she is?
I should, but I do not.
It was some young girl playing her ukulele in her parents' house on YouTube. Yeah. And I was like looking at Joji videos or something. And she covered it, and the video had 1 million views. And all of these like rabid young fans are just like, you're fucking amazing. And then I watched her just like explode. Just
oh hell yeah! Wait, I'm gonna watch her stuff.
She's cool. She has a great voice. I don't know.
Cool.
It's Chloe Moriando, Moriondo, I believe.
Cool.
But I just remember seeing a cover song that she's doing, and she's just like pretty much whispering with her ukulele into a microphone.
Oh, you know, yeah. I know all about that. I used to whisper with the ukuleles too.
Yeah, but it's cool because now, I mean, before the pandemic hit, she was on like big tours and collaborating with like bigger artists, and it just, because of the accessibility of the internet and the accessibility of recording, and I mean, fuck, dude, I'm essentially doing like a video radio show and it's live on the internet right now, and I'm just sitting in this fucking room. That's all I've been doing since the pandemic hit is making stupid videos and interviewing people, and I've been eating because of it.
Yeah, same.
It's like, what the fuck?
I know it is amazing that you can find. Yeah, that's why your fan base is so important. That's why having those core people that have stuck with you from the beginning, like, I mean, I'm so like, thank goodness we were able to get some tours in and do some stuff before the shit hit. I really do feel bad for the artists like that girl you were talking about who are just planning all these big tours and all this stuff, and just like at that point where they're like rising up, because it is, you know, one of the best ways that you do get that core audience is from them seeing you live. So it's hard if you're trying to like kind of acquire them right now. But like I said, I do believe in the power of like songs. That's one of the areas in life where I'm not depressed and cynical. So yeah.
Do you think it's just the pandemic that has you feeling in the dumps?
I think it's, and that's the other thing is like, we're all going through this collectively. So I don't want to like complain too much, because this is affecting other people in way worse ways than me.
Absolutely.
But I think it's like a lot of solitude going from like, we had just finished a tour in like November. I'm so glad that we did that tour because yeah, we hadn't even planned to do it, but it was a last minute thing. We jumped on tour with this band called Anamanaguchi. Great
Oh, that must
guys.
have been fun.
It was so much fun. They do like kind of like glitch pop and like,
Oh, I know.
yeah, they're like the best people. So much fun to tour with, so sweet. But they asked us like just to jump on for a couple weeks, and I'm like, thank God we did that, because to be in this, it's just weird to go from like being crowded around a bunch of people and like go like that tour setting to like a lot of like alone time. And I think, you know, I love writing songs with people and being in a room and like collaborating and like throwing ideas back and forth. So it's been good because it's forced me to you know, go back to what I did in my early days of just sit by yourself and fucking finish the song. And you don't always have to be in like a writing room with people and doing it that way, you know, or like, I think I've been collaborating so closely, especially with David from Terry Jr., that, you know, it's nice because I can finish an idea and send it to him and be like, look, check it out. This is a cool idea. Or, you know, I have a Patreon and I've been posting a lot of snippets or like little things I do on there. And that's been cool because I can kind of show them what I'm working on and get a feel for like what they're into.
And Patreon's cool too because it's kind of behind that paywall, so you can keep that anonymity that I feel that kind of surrounds the lore of your group. Like,
right.
Yeah, you can like be in the shadows, but still be engaging with the people that really are like loving you and what you do. The Patreon's a great thing.
I love it, and I feel safe to post these snippets there. It's stuff that I wouldn't post anywhere else. I'm posting it because these are people who are invested enough in it that like they're going to really give me like honest opinions, and I can kind of get just a gauge for like if the idea is good or not. It's such a cool, you know, it helps me a lot. So I love my patrons.
I gotta post more behind the scenes shit because like I have people supporting me on Patreon, but I pretty much am just like, here's another finished thing I did. But the thing is like when I get in that creative mode, I don't really document it that much. I'm just like kind of insane and just oh sweet, and I'm just like, oh, I got to get this thing done. So I kind of forget. It's like, hey, you know, maybe someone would want to see this side of it, but I'm just like, no, I'm fucking sitting in an editing bay for 12 hours and, you know.
Well, I feel the same way, but what I realized is I looked through my phone and I have all these like voice memos. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. This shows, you know, how I came up with the idea. Or like a lot of them, I go back and it's like, you know, a Terry Jr. song that now a lot our fans know, you know, so I can show the process or me just doing it acoustic. So I've been doing a lot of that. I recommend doing that because then you're just showing something that was very like natural as opposed to like putting a camera and being like, look, I'm playing piano, or look, I'm playing guitar. This is totally just how I do it.
My brain there's a little hamster up there and it's on a wheel and it's going right now. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Well,
hell yeah.
Well, shit. Okay, we have 7 minutes. What do we talk about for the next 7 minutes? Is it a hard curfew? You're
we can go for like 10 more minutes.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. So yeah.
But I mean, I want to just fucking talk all day because this is the best. I haven't caught up with you in a long time. I haven't seen you since you and Carmel came through.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that was, or did I saw you play live, but I think that might have been before you came.
It was before.
Yeah.
It was No, it was after because we had the weird mustache guy on bass. But yeah, but that's always weird when you see someone at a show. You're just like, oh, hey, hi. Oh, it's good to see you. Okay, bye. It's very impersonal. And what's crazy is when I go home and like every year we do this like hometown Christmas thing. And it's like I'm in a room like filled with my friends that literally I can have a 2-second conversation with every single one of them. When these are all people that I would like to spend like 4, 6, 7 hours with, entire days with. and it's reduced to just, oh hey, hi, oh hey, I gotta go count this, oh I gotta go do this, I gotta go warm up, I gotta go make tea, I gotta go do push-ups, or whatever the fuck I do. And it's a bummer because I don't know, this is nice. And that's one of the huge benefits to doing this podcast shit is I've had an opportunity. I'm not just interviewing people that are like noteworthy public figures. I'm actually getting to reconnect with people who I know and have known. I mean, you and I have known each other 12 years. So this is nice. Yeah. It's nice.
It is really nice. Yeah.
Because honestly, if I were to have a phone call, and I say this all the time on the podcast, if I were to call one of my friends on the phone, it probably lasts 15 minutes maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, it's nice because we know we're going into it. We're going to talk for a while. We're going to get to touch on a lot of topics. We're not like rushing through.
Yeah. And, I didn't know we'd go straight into dad stuff, but we did.
I appreciate you for, sharing that with me and for, I think that's a great thing about you, though. You've always been very open about that stuff, and that helps people because there's a lot of people, the whole problem is sort of repressing feelings and emotions, and that's probably what led your dad to not being the greatest dad. So for you to share that publicly is like a big deal.
Yeah, I overshare, and I've always been that way. But
I think that's a great thing, though, especially for like a guy to be doing that, because it makes other guys feel like, oh, maybe I can go to therapy, maybe I can work on myself. You know?
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that. It does shoot you in the foot sometimes, though. Like, let me give you a little example. This is a little intense.
What happened?
Okay. So I'm in Kroger by my mom's house, and this was back when I was bouncing from LA to Detroit a whole lot. And I remember I was having some issues with one of my areas, and I posted about it because I thought it was funny. I'm just like, I want to post shit online that makes people like be like, holy shit, he just said that. Because I like,
otherwise it's boring.
I like ruffling feathers. So I had like some like hemorrhoidal issues, and I had to see a doctor about it. So I like posted a photo of me next to like this sign that said colorectal surgery.
I think I remember this.
Sometimes I post naked selfies on the toilet, weird shit. But it was funny because I'm in Kroger and I hear this voice. He goes, "Hey man, how's your butthole?" And I turn around, it's some dude. And I'm just like, oh, it's pretty good.
Did you know who he was?
Like he was a friend of a friend.
So not really, but that's how you know everybody on Facebook. So
yeah, well, he knows me that way. And I think our bands had played together at some time. But at first I was just like, how the fuck does this guy know? And then I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah.
But it was like like an almost stranger being like, how's your butthole?
Almost stranger, but not. Because back when I was saying when we first started talking, Detroit is a small pond. So for you to be like, yeah, we were excited to open up for a big local band. It's like, how big is the biggest local band in Detroit? Like it doesn't take much to be you draw a couple hundred people, you're like hot shit in that city. Yeah, coming out here is very humbling because you're like, whoa, like, okay, so my confidence level was here. And then I come out here and it's just like it deflates a little bit because you're like, I'm literally surrounded by titans, like the entertainment industry, millionaires, like people, like, if you sell out the Magic Stick in Detroit, you're king shit. But the people who are king shit in this town, they're living in a multi-million-dollar house on a hill, with a giant fence and, attack dogs or something. I don't know. Right. It's just a whole different thing.
Yeah, but yeah, I do hear you. I mean, what's cool is that this is such a big place that you can, be around those like industry titans, and then there's like cool like punk rock kids that, there is still that local scene here,
of course,
local LA bands, but I agree with you. It is a humbling experience coming here. It's a good.
Regardless of whether or not I stay here, because right now, like my train of thinking is everything that I came out here to do dried up because it was mostly like an agent and some management, but I'm not doing a lot of songwriting. Most of what I do right now is just making my own content and monetizing that. I can do that fucking anywhere, and I don't have to pay like like $1,500 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment.
Right.
So I don't know where I'm going to end up, but I'm really glad that I had this whole adventure where I packed up all my shit in a van and I was like homeless in LA, and I like lived a bunch of different places, weird apartments, weird houses. My girlfriend and I in 2019, we spent most of the year at this house with 9 roommates, and we had the living room. We were renting the living room, but we ended up coming up because we busted our ass and we saved a shitload of money, and we were able to like make things happen because of it.
Yeah. I mean, dude, that's part of the experience out here. I had a house with a bunch of people living in it too, had to kick out roommates, had super shitty things happen, and then yeah, you sort of, it's weird because this really is like, if you can like kind of hustle and just be creative and find different weird ways to like bring money in, you can really do that here. That's what I like about it. Like, if you're willing to kind of put the time in and the work in, you can find these weird, odd ways to make money and then continue your creative pursuits.
Yeah, I feel like, what was one of the things I did to get a little bit of money on the side when I was living in West Hollywood? I would get paid to sit in the audience of TV shows, and it was like cash in hand. And I remember doing that. And my girlfriend at the time, she's like, not everyone can just sit and be in a TV audience and get paid for it. And I'm just like, well, I'm doing that.
That's so funny. Hell yeah. Why not? Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, I got to stand next to Marlon Wayans. I've been on TV, but just as an extra. But it's funny because I would like I was about to say I would TiVo. I wouldn't TiVo it. I don't even know if TiVo is a thing anymore. I would look up the episode I knew I was on, and then I would like pause it and see myself, and then like post a photo of it. And everyone like of my friends in Michigan or whatever on Facebook or social media would be like, "Bro, you totally made it. You made it. You got to stand next to Lieutenant Dangle from Reno 911 for a split second." And people in the Midwest are like, "Bro, you finally arrived." And I always thought that was so hilarious because that literally is like a dinky little paycheck, just because I came out here to do some other thing that isn't paying me very well, but it's available,
Yeah.
And yeah, like you're saying, you can do a lot of weird shit for money out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Michigan, it was all meatballs, 4-inch pans of meatballs.
Make some meatball subs and make some thick pizza, some real pan fried pizza.
You miss Jets?
Oh my God, I miss Jets. The pizza here is bad. I miss Buddies. I miss Coney dogs. I miss White Castle. All the stuff that like would make me shit my brains out. I miss.
I miss all the stuff that hurt me.
Yeah, the painful memories.
So, do you ever go visit Michigan again? And does it feel? I mean, you have on tour. I saw that you've done that. Does it? Are you ever conflicted about being out here?
Ooh, that's a good question. I've gotten to this weird place where like no place is really my home because I mean, I guess I've adopted LA as my home, but then when I do go back to Michigan, I get this like warm feeling in my chest from being with like my closest friends, and like thinking about like, man, I could be like partying with them every day still and like having those people in my life, and I might be able to have a house in Michigan right now if I was in Michigan, I might be on that path as opposed to, like you said, living in a 1-bedroom apartment and paying too much for it. But the thing that truly keeps me here is the fact that I can have a living in music here. So, if that was more possible back home, I would potentially be back there because I love Michigan. My parents have they live in the UP now.
Oh, wow.
So I would get to have that real Upper Peninsula experience.
It's beautiful up there.
Yeah, it's the best. Like I'd get to it's the opposite of being here.
Yeah.
I'd get to,
fresh air and green trees and rain and snow.
Yeah, seriously. But obviously this is a beautiful place to live. I have made some really, really great friends here. A lot of them, when I first moved here, I met them on Craigslist, and then they became like, the longest friends I've had out here, the people I've known for 6 or 7 years. So I would move back to Michigan. I hope that Michigan can, I think there are ways to support music out in Michigan. And if you live there and you can, fucking go do it. I mean, obviously you can't go to live shows right now, but there's no better place to play a live show. There's no place where people appreciate you more than playing in Michigan. And I would go back if it was possible for me to make a living in music there, for sure. But yeah, I'm conflicted. I miss the people I grew up with,
I miss I'll tell Allie, my girlfriend, I say I miss my real friends.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, now I have some real close and amazing friends here, but
that's good.
It's still hard to be away from the ones who saw you grow up and the ones who yeah.
I feel like this is funny because one of my best friends in the world lives in West Hollywood, and I want to say for 3 months I was living in West Hollywood, and I was like a 10-minute walk away from him, and the only time I saw him that entire 90 days was the day before I left West Hollywood to move to Long Beach. And I think that's indicative of the grind of LA, because even if you have friends, everyone's busy trying to fucking hustle. And
yeah,
so I don't even hold it against myself or him or anybody really. I just feel like it's harder out here to have like leisurely fun time, because it's like work. And I wear this shirt and it says Detroit hustles harder, and I might get some heat for this, but when I wear it around LA, I'm just like, I don't know, you kind of can you don't have to hustle you don't have to hustle as hard in Detroit. The cost of living is half. And I'm not saying Detroit doesn't hustle. Detroit hustles, but it's like you have to hustle harder out here or die, I feel.
Alert the presses. Neil P says Detroit does not hustle harder. I want that the headline on the Detroit Free
Don't
Press tomorrow. You're calling out Detroit for not hustling harder.
Detroit does hustle hard. I know a lot of people.
I'm kidding.
I know. Yeah, I know. I know a lot of people that work really hard, but I just think it just factually speaking, if you
I just want all the Michiganians to yell at you right now.
Just
all the Michiganders.
No, I still I'm wearing a Detroit shirt. I could still consider myself a Michigan guy through and through, but
yeah.
But I didn't know what hustling was until I came out here. And people have told me before, people are like, oh bro, you're the hardest working guy in the local scene, blah blah blah, people say nice things to me, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm going pretty hard. But I never had to go harder than when I had to start fucking paying real money to survive.
Dude, I 1,000% agree with you, and I think pretty much all of my close friends out here are in music, because I get to see them when I'm working with them. So it's like, oh, we're going to do a session together. Oh my God, I get to write a song with like one of my best friends. Amazing. Or,
that's nice.
Oh, I have a friend and we haven't even been able to get like on the phone together because even though there's a fucking pandemic going on, she's still hustling and doing stuff and trying, and so and same here. So I 1,000% know what you mean. It's rare that you're just like having a hangout with someone that there isn't some underlying work or underlying like something like that. And I think that's why when I go home, I'm like, oh my God, these are the people that I love just because I love them. And like, you know, even though we made music together, we did it because we loved hanging out with each other. It wasn't even about trying to make money or anything like that. So yeah, I have to go soon, but that's like a very nice note to end on.
That is a good note to end on. I'm going to say real quick, I always say this on the podcast. In LA, you talk money first, then you start making the music. In Detroit, you make the music and you don't even talk about money because you don't think there's ever going to be any. So yeah, but you know, it is what
I think it's cool that you can come from anywhere in the fucking US or anywhere in the world and come to LA and, you know, shoot your shot and see what happens. Like that's what I like about it out here. There, you know, you just have to be willing to fucking not live very well.
Like Eminem said, you only have one shot. Is that what he said?
One opportunity to seize everything.
Seize everything.
We capture it
spaghetti,
and let it slip.
Spaghetti.
Well,
hey, do your thing. And I just want to say this has been pleasant and I've enjoyed this immensely and I'm proud of you and this is a strange life.
This is a weird life. Hey, I'm proud of you too. I'm so glad you're out here. It's crazy that, you know, for example, you and I haven't seen each other in many years, but I'm glad that we got to do this. And thank you so much for having me. It's so much fun. It was like, I needed this in the time of coronavirus. I needed this.
Yeah. Connecting,
nice conversation.
Even if it's on a Zoom call, connecting with human beings is immensely important. And I'm glad I have this platform and, you know, back to the whole gratitude thing. I'm just glad I'm not dead.
Hell yeah, we're not dead. Woo!
Not yet.
That slow march to death, though. Happening every day.
We'll be there soon.
Woo!
All right, well, I'm going to let you hit the red button, and then I'm going
to
continue blathering.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, dude.
Bye, Neil. Thanks for having me.
Talk soon.
Talk soon.
Adios. Yes, there you go. Gratitude. Begin each day with gratitude, end each day with gratitude. Do you practice that? Should I practice it harder? Probably. Usually when I wake up, I just look at my phone immediately. Got to stop doing that. Got to sit on my yoga mat and just take a deep breath and be like, hey, I'm still alive. This is kind of cool. Does everything suck? Sometimes. Most of the time. But are you here? What can you fix? Fix that shit. Or at least try to. I don't know. Don't take advice from me. I'm just a dude. But that was a SUPcast, and I feel good. I feel like that went well. Inspiring people doing inspiring things. If you're tuning in right now or if you're tuning in later, thank you. There's a bunch of links. Find Terror Jr. Find this fucking tea and order some of it. Find me and find yourself having an enjoyable day.